So the food chief of the UN just warned of, quote, hell on earth is coming. All right. This is very eerie. This is scary. And is he fear mongering? Is he trying to scare people, the chief of the UN, or is he trying to warn people? I don't know, because it's always been before that, oh, that's not going to happen. That's not real. Nobody's going to starve. This isn't going to affect anything. The harvests aren't way down for 2022. But now the food chief of the UN is coming out and saying, quote, hell on earth is coming due to food shortages and empty shelves. All right. And I made a report a couple days ago how the largest food warehouse for produce and vegetables, and they have meat there as well, all right? But it's like a giant farmer's market for all these different farmers. They all bring their food there and store it in this massive warehouse to sell at farmers markets. The biggest one in the world in Paris, France, has burned, all right? And this was just a couple days ago. How many more things do we need to get hit with for people to realize that this is serious, that we need to take our food security very serious, okay? You should be buying seeds. You should have bulk seeds, all right? You can buy bulk seeds for $20 and get years worth of lettuce seeds or tomato seeds or whatever, and just keep them stored away. Well, a lot of the companies send them in Mylar bags now, all right? So it's perfect. They're vacuum sealed in a Mylar bag. So it's perfect. It'll last 5-10 years. You might not have perfect germination, but they will last you a long time, all right? But he is warning of this, quote, hell on earth, and he's warning that potentially hundreds of millions of people will starve to death over the next year, just over the next year. And he's saying if harvests don't pick up in 2023 and 2024, then it'll be even greater. And this is exactly what we saw from the Bayer CEO. Bayer, one of the biggest agricultural companies in the world, might be the biggest in the world actually. The CEO was warning that if harvests aren't bumper crops for the next 2 years, if we don't get bumper crops of harvest that are, over 100%. If you normally get 100%, you need like 110, 20%. You need 2 years of that to make up the losses that we are experiencing this year, just in 2022 alone. All right. And this is what the UN food chief was saying. He said, this is from Fertilizer Prices. He said half of the world's food is at risk because of fertilizer prices. All right. He said half the world's food is directly dependent on fertilizer. Like they're fertilizer heavy crops like corn, tomatoes, all these heavy things that we depend on require fertilizer. All right. Things like soybeans and quinoa, other things, they don't need as much water or fertilizer, but a lot of the world's calories needs a ton of water and a ton of fertilizer. Rice. And he said up to 50% of our food is at risk from this situation, all right? And this is because of all the sanctions we've put on. This is because of this war that's happening, all right? Russia is one of the biggest fertilizer exporters in the world, all right? And we've just completely shut them out, all right? Farmers were depending on this fertilizer. Think about the timing of all this. This all happened like mid-February, late February, right before springtime, right before planting time. So farmers had no time to respond, and they were scrambling right before planting to get their crops in, all right? Because all the fertilizer was banned, all the seed markets were disrupted, all right? This was a global catastrophe for our food supply, all right? And countries like India have already shut off all wheat exports. They've shut off exports of tons of different crops and major grains, and India is one of the biggest producers in the world, all right? And they're saying, no, we need this food for our country. We need to look out for our people. We cannot be exporting our food at a time like this because scarcity is so high, and the yields for this crop for this coming season looks very low, all right? I'll try to I know I keep rattling off these numbers, but I'll try to remember these numbers. These are real. Just Google these numbers. People are always like, these are not real numbers. How can you remember these numbers? These are real numbers. I just remember them because I say them all the time. All right. So I'm pretty sure it was the lowest corn harvest this year since 2012. All right. And it's the lowest winter wheat harvest since 1963 or 1953. I'm pretty sure the wheat harvest was 63. And then it's the lowest rice harvest in California since 1953. All right. And then it was, it's record low cotton harvest as well. I can't remember the year, but all these dates, these are like 50, 60, 70 year lows of harvest of major crops that our country and that the world depends on. These are all at record lows, all right? Record lows. So what does this mean for 2023? This UN food chief, I mean, he said it, quote, hell on earth, all right? So learn how to grow food now, because we can get stocked up. We can have X amount of months or however long of food stored, but what happens when that runs out? All right. We need to think very long term. We need to think about rebuilding. The future is going to be very localized. All right. They're shutting down all the global supply chains on purpose. All right. This is intentional. This is a global plan. So all the food is going to become hyper localized, because we're not going to be able to ship all this fertilizer and all this stuff all around the world just to produce the cheapest food. It's not going to work anymore. It's not going to be efficient anymore. The most efficient and reliable things are going to be you being able to grow your own food, you having connections with other people that grow food. Like, you grow vegetables, you have another person in the community that grows chickens, that's relating to birds, or, you know, does all the birds. You have another person that does pigs, another person that does all the cows. All right. And then you guys can trade with each other, and you know what I mean? Build your community, have stability within like your own skills and your own people and your own community. So that's what the future is going to look like. It's going to be hell on earth, like this guy's saying, or it's going to be like that. So take your pick. All right. I choose the other one. I don't want to live on hell on earth. I want to be prepared. I want to, you know, I would rather have 10 people come together and grow enough food for, you know, 100 people or whatever, a couple hundred people, and just like have communities like that, than have this quote hell on earth where we're just begging the globalist or begging whoever for your cricket powder ration. All right. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get some crickets. I remember I had a chameleon when I was a kid and I fed it crickets. All right. That's what reptiles and stuff eat. They eat crickets. All right. It's disgusting. They stink. They're nasty. And they eat stuff too. What do you think crickets eat? Crickets just eat a bunch of like weird food, weird industrialized goopy GMO food. All right. So it's like, what do you think they eat? Where do you think they come from? They eat stuff too. So that's your option. Take your cricket ration, all right? Or we need to start stepping it up, guys. We need to be more sustainable, more reliable. And, you know, it's an investment in yourself and your community too, to have these skills if it hits the fan, all right? So thank you, guys. Let me know what you're doing. Let's not have this hell on earth. I don't want that. I'm just warning that this is what the leaders are saying, all right? I don't want this. We don't want this at all. We want a nice, peaceful, beautiful earth, all right? So thank you guys for watching, and you have a blessed day.